Hey guys, what's up? It's Savannah. Welcome back to another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so happy that you are here. Happy Friday, you guys. I hope you all have had a great week. And if you haven't, guess what? We made it. It's the weekend. Happy Friday. I've had a pretty good week so far, I would say. Yeah, I've had a good week. I really can't complain about anything. So it's been a good week. I will say the one thing that I've noticed this week in regards to just myself is that I am way more tired this week than usual. I don't know what it is. I feel like usually I'm able to get myself up and out of bed, but for like the past 2 weeks or so, it has been a struggle to get out of bed and wake up. Like I wake up around 7:30 and then it takes everything in me not to get up, go downstairs, have coffee, and then fall back asleep again because I'm just tired. I don't know what it is. I'm sleeping well throughout the night. So hopefully it just, this is just a wave and it comes and goes. But that's the only thing that I can think of in terms of my highs and lows of this week. My highs are pretty much everything else. Yeah, everything else is great. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you all have had a great week. And I'm really, really excited about today's episode. So if you guys don't follow the My Thoughts Exactly Instagram page, which if you don't, it's just My Thoughts Exactly podcast on Instagram, I asked you guys what episode you would like to hear today. I gave you two different options. And obviously by the title, you can tell which one we chose. But I gave you guys the option of if we wanted to talk about spring cleaning for 2024, or if we wanted to talk about my little healthy lifestyle kick that I am embarking on. And I'm really excited because you guys chose that one. And we are going to do the spring cleaning episode. We are going to talk all about spring cleaning because I'm in my spring cleaning era. I say that as I'm looking around my office and it is a cluttered mess, but it's okay. We're spring cleaning. It's okay. But I'm really excited that you guys wanted to talk about this today, this whole health and wellness lifestyle journey that I am embarking on, because a couple reasons. First of all, I'm excited to talk about this today because once I tell you guys this, once I speak all of this into existence, I am holding myself accountable. And if this is something that you want to join me on as well, then we can keep each other accountable. We can have weekly check-ins. And I think that that's going to be really, really fun. And I'm just very excited for it. And I'm also just excited because this is something that I have kind of been doing every year, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but I've been doing this whole health and wellness lifestyle kick journey, whatever you want to call it, is something that I've done every year, and I just know how great I feel when I do this and when I stick to this and when I go through this process. I know how my body feels. I know how I feel mentally, and I'm just really excited to get back at that point. And I do want to say before we get started on this episode that I want to just put a little trigger warning right now, just in case the topic of fitness or eating or anything underneath that umbrella triggers you in any way. This is just the disclaimer right now that you can click off. We'll see you next week. It's okay. But if you do want to stick around and just listen to what I have to say, then let's get into it. I also want to point out really quickly, this is a no duh because obviously I'm not a doctor, but I do want to say that as well. It's just a little disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I am just trying to find the things that work for me and my body. And everyone is so different. Everyone's bodies are different. What works for you may not work for me and vice versa. And that's okay. I am just sharing what I have found does work for me. And yeah, I just kind of want to put that out there too, because what I say is not gold, it's not the handbook or whatever, obviously. But again, I think it's interesting. I always like hearing people's journeys throughout this. This is something that I like to listen to people talk about because I know that everyone's bodies and everyone's, how everyone operates is so different that it's always nice, in my opinion, to hear about what different people are doing. So I can take a little bit of one person's routine and maybe a little bit of another person's routine or another tip or another trick. So I just want to put that all out there because I just think that that's important to say as well. So with all the warnings and the disclaimers, let's get into it. So basically, I moved to Nashville in 2021, and I have always come from a very heavily fitness-oriented family. maybe fitness oriented isn't the right word, but definitely a health conscious family. I would say I grew up with a borderline almond mom, and if you know, you know, but I also grew up with, a brother who is incredibly into fitness. I grew up with a dad who literally looks 20 years less than his age right now. Like, it is crazy. My family is very health focused, and I've always kind of felt like a black sheep in a way. I'm not going to lie, just because my body type is very different. I do have two older sisters, and my older sisters are shorter than me, and they're just, they're more petite. I feel like I definitely have more of like that hourglass curvy figure. And growing up, that was harder for me to navigate than I think I anticipated. And because of that, I developed a lot of unhealthy habits because I was trying to morph myself into something that I'm not. There is just a realization you come to at a certain point in life where, or at least I did, where I realized I'm not going to look like, the size 2 or size 0, and that's okay. And that was something that, again, was just like, it was just something that I had to learn, because no one ever really talked to me about it. Because when I look at my sisters and I'm like, oh, well, they're my sisters and they look like this, but I do not look like them. So it was just something that was difficult to navigate. But once I had that realization, I was like, okay, I want to start focusing on what's going to make me feel the best, what is going to give me the most confidence. And for me, that really stemmed from healthy eating and working out. And not only was that for the sole purpose of like, I wasn't doing that because I just wanted to look a certain way. I realized over time that being healthy and having those habits increased my mental health like immensely, more than I ever thought possible. I felt such a mental release when I was working out and eating healthy. I felt clear-headed. I felt, my anxiety wasn't as bad. I felt like I was really productive. I just felt really, really great about myself, and again, it wasn't really as much from like a looks standpoint, but I really noticed it mentally too. And so again, before I moved to Nashville, I was working out a lot, and I had again come from this family that was very health oriented, so we were eating really well. And then when I got to Nashville in 2021 and I lived in an apartment by myself, I didn't have anyone telling me like, hey, you should be eating this, or we should try and be a little bit healthier today, or we should go work out. Like, I didn't have anyone really giving me that structure that I had before. And so for me, it was like really a test of holding myself accountable. And I never really had to do that because it was just kind of ingrained in my mind, like, oh, okay, I just saw my brother go and work out. Like, I'm going to go work out too, or I'll go into the gym after Jackson goes into the gym, like just little things like that, where it was almost second nature. And then when I came to Nashville, I kind of had to rewire and reprogram my brain to be like, oh, I need to remind myself to do these things. I need to remind myself to take care of myself. And I think I got wrapped up in the when you get thrown into any new city, but I feel like Nashville in particular is so drinking focused. Like, the social aspect is so heavily focused on alcohol and drinking. And I've talked about this so many times, when you move to a new place and you want to meet new people and socialize, like, you're saying yes to a lot of things. And because of that, being in Nashville, a lot of the things that I was saying yes to and a lot of the people I was surrounding myself with were drinking. And that's no shade. Like, I had a great time, but I just realized over time, like, oh, I really need to start taking care of myself. And I think in 2021, I moved in September 2021. Then I think by May 2022, I realized it was like the first time I stepped on the dreaded scale. And I think it's really important to remember that, and again, I feel like I need to disclaim a lot of what I'm saying, but I'm just going to try and talk freely at the same time. The scale does not determine, how do I say this? The scale is not parallel with a lot of goals. Like, for example, if okay, I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. Someone with being one weight and then you have another person being the same weight, those two people can look very, very different. Obviously, it's all about, body composition and body fat percentage and all of those things, BMI, all of it. So, I just remember stepping on that scale and I was like, whoa. Like, it was I think definitely the heaviest I had ever been. And I realized right then and there that I wanted to make a change. I realized that I also just wasn't feeling well. Like it really had nothing to do with the actual number on the scale. But once I saw the number, I was like, oh, okay, like now it kind of makes sense because I just haven't been taking care of myself. And I had to make the decision, and I did right then and there. I was like, okay, starting today, like this is it. Like we are changing the lifestyle. And that is something that I really and like that terminology was really important to me. Saying that it was a healthy lifestyle was very important rather than just like a diet or I'm going on a cleanse or a detox and like all these like, fad words that we throw around. Because to me, when I hear diet, when I hear cleanse, when I hear detox, I hear something that is short term, or at least that's what I was brought up with. Like those types of words mean that something is more of a short term thing. You go on a 7-day fast or a 7-day juice cleanse or all these things, whatever. So for me, I was like, it's not going to be like a little short, like detox cleanse, whatever. I want to go on I want to change my lifestyle. For me, I was going out, not sleeping well, not drinking a lot of water, not caring about what I was putting in my body, not working out, drinking too much alcohol, overconsumption of alcohol. I just was not caring about myself and my body. And that's like the main gist here is I just wasn't. And I decided that I was going to change it. So that was May 2022. I did the lifestyle change, cleanse thing, whatever. And not cleanse, lifestyle health kick. Then starting in probably August of 2022. So from May to August, I was really, really great. I was really good. And I'm setting up the timeline for you guys now. I'm going to get into the tips and tricks in a second, but I'm just walking you through the timeline. Between May and August, I was doing great. Then in August, I went to a family vacation, and then Hayden and I moved in together in August 2022. And that was, again, when I moved in with a boy whose metabolism goes at the speed of lightning. I don't know why it's always like that, but his metabolism, he can eat whatever he wants and he will not put on a single quarter of a pound, and it is just not the same. And so going on vacation where I like kind of let myself enjoy and indulge, which again is such a good thing. I want to emphasize that. I think that that is so important to have those times. But then moving in with Hayden and not really, focusing on my individual health, but really just focusing on getting us moved in. And, we were eating a lot of the same things. And again, like he's 6'4" and I am just not. And so it just wasn't working. And then in May of 2023, I had the same realization. So exactly a year later, I was like, I need to go back on this lifestyle health kick. And I started it again from May 2023, again, probably up until August. I was, doing great, really focusing on it. And then again, slowly but surely, it just kind of started to wither away. And I think a lot of that comes with the colder seasons. A lot of that comes with, I had a lot of family coming into town. We were going on trips and we were just doing a bunch of really fun things together where my lifestyle kick wasn't at the forefront of my mind. And then it kind of slowly got me back into the place where I was when I originally started. And so I think what's funny is, we talk about like New Year's resolutions and New Year's goals. And I told you guys a while ago that my New Year's resolutions weren't starting until like February, or maybe I said March, but I'm pretty sure I said February because January I have a bunch of birthdays and February is Valentine's Day, whatever. And I am officially declaring that what day is it today? It's February 27th. So February 27th is the official day for New Year's resolutions for myself. This is the day where I am starting to hold myself accountable again. And this is the day where I am really getting myself back into the swing of things because I know that it's really important for me for a multitude of reasons. One being just like my overall health. Second being my mental health. Third being my energy levels. Again, talking about how tired I am, waking up feeling groggy and foggy and just not, clear-headed. That's not something I want for myself. I know how great I feel when I stick to the routine that I was in, and that's something that I want to get back to. And I'm also someone that needs to have that routine. If I don't stick to a routine, I am just, again, going to be very willy-nilly about it, and I just will not stick to my goals and getting things done the way that I know that they need to be. I know what I have to do to get myself to a place where I feel better. And that's what I'm going to be talking with you guys about today is the things that I've done for myself to in the tips and tricks that I have gained over the past 2 years of doing this and really just focusing on those things. And so that's what we are diving into today. So I wanted to get that out of the way and talk about like the timeline, why I have these healthy lifestyle kicks. And again, it's about accountability. I'm telling you guys so I can keep myself accountable. And I also want to emphasize, this time around, I really want to focus on it having a longer lasting impact than just like a 3-month thing. Because again, I think that falls into the categories of like the diets and the cleanses and the detoxes and whatever. And not saying that those are bad by any means, things work differently for different people. But I know for myself, I really want to focus on making it a lifestyle change. This is something that I want to live my life by from now on until the future. This is really, really important for me. And I want to start now. I don't want to wait until May 2024. Like, why not start now? So that is what we are doing. So that is the timeline. That's kind of how things navigated for a little bit. And now let's get into some of my personal tips and tricks and like the routine and schedule that I keep myself on when I am in my healthy lifestyle kick. And this is what we're going to be starting to do starting today. So first things first, I want to kind of talk about my own personal goals, and everyone's goals are going to be different. I do have a specific weight goal. I'm going to be very honest about that. I know sometimes people don't like talking about that because everyone has their own personal opinion on, weight. It's very subjective and all of those things. I know personally where I'm most confident. And so that is a goal of mine. Secondly, my goal is to, again, like I said, have more energy, be more clear-headed, better mental health. That's really important to me. I also just want to be stronger. That's something that's very important to me as I'm getting older. That's just something that I've learned, and really just toning up and trimming down. Like, that's just kind of the basis of it. So those are really what my goals are. And something that I've really, really noticed helps me. And again, everyone is so different. And again, I know I'm saying that a million times, but I feel like I need to. Everyone is so different. But something that has always really, really helped me is intermittent fasting. I am such a snacker. I am someone who will snack all day long if you let me. It does not matter. Crackers, chips, candy, anything that's out, I will be snacking. Dips, love dip. I love a good dip. I will be snacking all day, which is why intermittent fasting is so good for me. What I will say is I think in the beginning of like my first year, like my 2022 year of starting this out, I definitely went a little bit overboard on the intermittent fasting. I did it like a 12 to 6 was my eating period. So starting at 12 p.m. and ending at 6 p.m. was when I could eat. That was more attainable, I will say, because I was living alone. I didn't have very much of a social life. I was dating Hayden, but, for the most part, I was living alone and doing my thing. So it was easier to do that, but that's not attainable long-term. Eating in those hours is not attainable, especially when you like want to go out to dinner, or if you have a little bit of if something throws you off in your schedule. Like, sometimes it's not always attainable. And first of all, I've learned that that's okay. This is just kind of like an approximate, like if I have it my way, this is kind of where I would like to stay. So for me now, what that looks like is my eating periods are from 11:30 noonish to 7:30. That is my time frame of when I like to eat. And I do that because for me, I like to give my system enough time to process my food. Because I'm a snacker, I often will just, snack and not give my system enough time to really process that food, not give my metabolism enough time to process everything. And that's really important to me. And I notice it helps a lot too with my bloating. I have had I've had chronic bloating for a really long time. Like, I get bloated very, very easily. And having the intermittent fasting is something that has always really helped with that, because I'm not, eating until, midnight, 11:30, and I'm eating sweets. I'm eating, ice cream, cookies, candy, like all the things. I have such a sweet tooth. And so keeping myself within those parameters has been really, really helpful for me. So I know some people don't like intermittent fasting. That's fine. I really, really do. I know my family used to do intermittent fasting. They did like a 12 to 8 p.m. period. But Hayden and I usually eat dinner around like 6:37 anyways. So by that point, it's like I'm good and I just end the night there. And that again has probably been my biggest tip for myself is the intermittent fasting. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about is alcohol, because I know personally for me, I like wine. Okay. I like wine. I like a good skinny margarita, and I don't want to live in a world where I can't have those things. And I think that's something that we really need to dive into too, is because I'm a big believer of everything in moderation. I'm a big believer of like, you do not have to cut out everything that you love in your life to, you know, obtain certain goals. And that's why it's like a healthy lifestyle kick and a healthy lifestyle, journey. It's because I know that if I tell myself like, I'm just not going to drink, like I don't want to do that. And that's not practical for me. It's not sustainable for me. I know I will drink, and I don't want to make myself feel bad about it. So I've found a way to make this easier on myself, and I'm going to give you the lowdown right now. So if you're like me and you like wine, I'm going to turn you on to two different types of wine alternatives. It's still wine, it's still alcohol, but it really takes away and knocks down a lot of that sugar. So wine has a lot of sugar, as we know. That's why we get really, really bad hangovers when we have wine. So what I like two different things. The first one is called wine waters. The only place I've seen that sells these things are Whole Foods, or is Whole Foods. Whole Foods is the only place that I've known that has them and that sells them. They come in a pack of 6. They have rosés and they have white wines. They have their little cans, and they're about 5, I think, or 4.5% of alcohol. And then there's like 60 calories and 0 sugar. That's the key. So what I will do on the nights that I want wine is I will allow myself to have it. I will just have this instead. And I like it. I actually really do. For all things considered, it's actually pretty good. And it gives me the same buzz. I like it. And it doesn't make me feel like I'm completely restricting myself. All I'm doing is modifying. And that, again, is something that I found to be really key throughout this whole process, is just modifying the things that I can find modifications for. Does this mean that I'm never going to have a real glass of wine? No. What I like to do is these wine waters, or the second one, which I'm going to talk about now, is called Bev. I want to see, actually, I'm going to look it up right now, and I'm going to see, because I heard Bev closed, or they shut down their business. Bev drinks. Let's see. We're going to look this up together. Okay, no, they're still a thing. Okay, so Bev, if you don't know, it's Bev, and it's made by chicks, and that's like their whole thing, and it's really, really cute. But it's 0 sugar wine, and they have a lot more options in the wine waters. And I know Bevs are sold in a lot of other places. They're sold in Targets. I know Bevmo has them. Like all of the liquor stores typically should or usually do have them. And again, it's 0 sugar. I will say I get more of a hangover off of the Bevs than I do off of the wine waters, but again, it's still 0 sugar. So there's that. But again, does this mean that I am never going to have a glass of wine again? No, because guess what? That's insanity. I'm not going to do that. So what am I going to do instead? I'm going to modify when I can. If I'm at home and I'm like, you know what? I want to unwind. I want to have a glass of wine. I'm going to go for a wine water instead. That's where I'm going to choose, because in that moment, that is a healthier option. If I go out to dinner and I want a glass of wine, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to have the glass of wine, the real glass of wine, and I'm going to take the sugar and I'm going to enjoy it, because it's an experience, and I'm young, and what's life if I can't have a glass of wine when I want one? So that's really important to me as well, because, I know myself, and I know that I am not going to want to stop drinking entirely. And I do think that there's something to be said about cutting back. I remember in 2022, when I first did my health kick, I was only drinking on the weekends, and if I was drinking, it was only the wine waters. And that's kind of where I like to fall. I don't really drink throughout the week anyways, like on weekdays and stuff. I might have a glass of wine at night if I'm like watching The Bachelor or Love is Blind or something, but like other than that, I'm really not drinking. So on the weekends is when I typically will have my wine or have my spicy marg or whatever. And again, it's just all about moderation. So if I'm at home, wine water or Bev. If I'm out, I'll have a glass of wine. Am I going to have like a bottle and a half? No, but I'll I'll have a glass or two. Like tonight, I'm going to dinner with a friend at 6 o'clock. We're going to go to a Mexican restaurant. I'll probably have a spicy marg, a spicy skinny marg. That's okay. I'm allowed to do that. It's moderation. But again, I just think it's important to remind yourself of the ways that you can modify that work for you. So that's a big one as well. The next one I want to talk about, this is like kind of a little hack. And you might think it's weird. I remember when I told Hayden about it, he was like, that's strange. So Hayden's thing lately, he's so funny. Like at night, right before we'll go to bed, he'll be like, Savannah, let's have a sweet treat. Again, as I told you, the man is 6'4". It doesn't hit him the same. But do I have a sweet tooth? Yes, I love a good sweet treat. I love ice cream. I love cookies, cake, brownies, everything. I love it. That's why I love to bake, because I love to eat it. That's also a thing. But his whole thing is like, let's have a sweet together. Let's have like something. So what I've had to do is I've had to modify. I will give you a good hack. And this is probably not, obviously this is not going to be the first time probably anyone's ever heard of this, because I know that this was a big thing when the Ninja Creamies came out and everyone was linking like protein ice cream or protein, little, ice cream milkshake things. I don't have a Ninja Creamy, so what I do instead is I just make a good old-fashioned chocolate protein shake. It still tastes like a milkshake to me. It's the same consistency. It tricks my mind into thinking like, oh, I'm having a milkshake, when in reality, I'm just having a protein shake. And so I'm getting my protein in and I'm tasting like the chocolatey stuff, and I love it. And I also, when I do the protein shakes, I put in a scoop of collagen as well. Great for your hair, skin, and nails. And I just it's just better. It's just better for me. I don't feel the guilt, and I feel like I am still staying within my health kick, progression, still staying within my requirements for my goals. And again, like it just works. Something else that you're probably so sick and tired of hearing of, if you like listen to a lot of like people who talk about, health journeys and all these things, but it honestly, there's a reason that everyone talks about it. It's a cliche for a reason. And that is drinking water. Drinking your water is so freaking important. And I don't think I ever really realized that until I started doing these health kicks. I was always one that was not drinking enough water. I would have like maybe 2 glasses of water a day, like if that. And something that I've learned is really helpful for me is having a designated water bottle. I feel like most people have one now, or everyone that I see like has their own little like water bottle thing. But if you don't, I highly recommend getting one, because it ups your water intake by so much. Every friend that I have who like has their little water bottle talks about how much more water they start drinking once they get a water bottle. And for me, I used to have a Stanley, and then I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but apparently Stanleys have lead in them now. I don't know, but I heard that, and that was enough for me to not use my Stanley ever again. So right now I have a 40-ounce Simply Modern water bottle, and it's actually in the dishwasher right now getting washed, but I drink about 4 of those a day, 4 or 5. And again, I notice an overall difference in, first of all, my skin. My skin looks amazing, and I feel a lot better now knowing that I'm drinking an appropriate amount of water. I'm drinking, I'm staying hydrated. I'm doing my thing, and I'll either put some electrolytes in it. Typically I'll just have it, normal water. But drinking your water is something that is very, very important, or at least I'm not even going to like try. I was going to say, well, at least for me. No, for everyone. Drinking your water is important. I actually posted this thing on the My Thoughts Exactly Instagram today that I thought was so funny. And it says, girl, that's not a random headache. You are dehydrated, malnourished, overcaffeinated, overstressed, and sleep deprived. And I was like, yeah, that is entirely accurate. So drinking my water has been really, really good. And then another big tip that I have is, if you're a snacker like me, like I mentioned, I'm a big snacker, focusing on healthier snack options, which seems like a no duh, but you really have to take that initiative to do that. So I went to the grocery store yesterday and I focused on only getting healthy snacks. So bell peppers, or little like seaweed snacks, or just like little things that are either fruits or vegetables, or if you're going to do like a chip or a cracker or something, like making sure it's something that's a little bit healthier. I got these like chili lime chickpea pops, not like popsicles, like just actual like cracker things. And those are so good. I also got like those edamame things. They're called snap pea crisps, I think. And so those are always great to snack on. So I'm not depriving myself from snacking, because I know that I will snack. I'm just giving myself healthier options when I have that urge to snack. So that way I don't feel like shit, essentially, because I know that for a while I wasn't really giving myself the option to have healthier snacks. So whenever I was snacking, it would just be something that was like overly processed or just had too much sugar, and it just didn't make me feel good. And I just felt like, I don't know, I just felt down. Like I just felt, I don't know how to describe it. It just it wasn't it. It just wasn't it. But now we have healthy options, and I cut up a bunch of bell peppers today. I also recommend doing that, like the meal prepping stuff. That way, when you are snacking or when you want to snack or when you are hungry, you have pre-made options. So like, you don't even have to think about it. It's like, oh, this is what I'm going to eat. This is it. And it falls underneath like the healthy, nutritious category. That's what we want. We want to keep ourselves healthy and strong. So those are kind of all the things that I do in regards to nutrition and, you know, eating and the drinking and all of that. That's kind of what I like to stick myself to. Those are kind of the guidelines that I like to follow. It's what works for me. So again, it's what works for me. Those are my tips and just repeating what works for myself. Now, when it comes to exercise, for the past year, I have been working with a personal trainer, and we have been working on just a lot of strength training stuff. I've noticed how much stronger I have become in the past year since working with her. It's honestly crazy. And so I do the personal training about twice a week. And then on the other days, I do like to still continue to work out as well. There was a point in time where I was just doing the 2 times a week, but I just noticed that like, I wasn't reaching my goals. I wasn't targeting my goals. I was just kind of very like, oh yeah, I'm just working out just to work out, not because I like have goals, which is fine if that's what you want to do. But personally, I knew that I had these goals that I wanted to reach, and working out twice a week was just not going to cut it. So I liked to amp it up to about 4 to 5 times a week instead. And a lot of times I don't want to go and I don't want to do it. And that is just the fact of the matter. But I will say, every time that I have forced myself to go to the gym, 50% of going to the gym is just getting to the gym. That's the hardest part typically. Once I get in there, I'm fine. But just having the mindset of like going and getting to the gym, that was so hard. So I know something that we did is that we have this like garage space in our home that we have worked on converting into a gym over time. And so over the past couple months, we've been adding different pieces and equipment. We even put a sauna in there. So we've kind of transformed the back garage into like a health and wellness little home gym center, if you will. And it's been amazing. It's been something that not only are we so fortunate to be able to do something like that and to like have that, because it takes the drive out of going to the gym, and I just, I pop in the back, and it's great. But it also forces me now I have no excuse is what I'm trying to get at. Now I have no excuse to not go to the gym. The gym is in my backyard. Everything that I need, it's in my backyard. I just have to go back there. And so getting myself to the gym used to be the hardest part. But I've realized, even when going to the gym that wasn't in my backyard, because it is a nicer gym than the one that's obviously in my garage, but going to the gym itself, getting there was the hardest part. I always liked a little pre-workout. That was like always something that I did, and I know a lot of people do that too. I don't understand how I used to go to the gym without pre-workout. I highly, highly recommend. I know some people don't like it because it makes them jittery and anxious. I've had a couple where it makes me really itchy. I don't know what that's about, but I turn red and my arms and like my face get really freaking itchy, and I feel like I'm on fire. So there's definitely been a few that I have not loved, but taking the pre-workout and just putting on my favorite playlist and just being like, Savannah, you're going to feel so much better after this. Just go. Whatever you have to do to convince yourself to get to the gym, just do it. Even if it's just getting in your car and going to the gym or walking or whatever. And sometimes, your exercise is going to look different every day. Especially, I don't know. I think it's important to also recognize just like being a woman and like having a cycle and all of those things. Like sometimes you're not going to want to like have the high intensity workouts. That's okay too. Just even doing like stretching or going on a nice walk, like anything that you can to just get your body moving and active is going to benefit you so much in the long run. Even just, again, your mental health, it's going to make you feel so much better mentally, knowing that you are prioritizing your body and your health like that. So that is something that's been really, really crucial for me as well, is just going to the gym and getting in there about, 4 times a week or 5, just dependent on how my schedule ends up looking. Again, life happens, life gets in the way. I know that, we over the past couple months. Personally, I've had a lot of family come into town, and it's just kind of thrown my schedule off a little bit. And so I haven't really been as strict with making myself go to the gym outside of my personal training sessions, and really haven't been forcing myself to exercise as much, and really just giving myself excuses, because I see on social media, and I know social media is like a highlight reel, but I see so many of my like friends or people that I know, like they're getting up at like 5:30 and going to the gym. It does not matter. Like they're getting it done. It does not matter what's going on. Like I'm sure if they had family come into town, they'd still wake up at 5:30 and go to the gym. So again, it's just a matter of not giving yourself as many excuses and just being like, this is just something I'm going to do. And I remember I woke up this morning and I was like, Savannah, we're getting in the gym. We're getting in the gym. I'm not having this like tomorrow mentality anymore. Like it's starting today. Like I said, February 27th, mark the calendar. I got in the gym and I am so freaking happy that I did. And just being able to tell myself that I spent, an hour today just focusing on my mind and my body and my health and just prioritizing that just set me up for so much success today. It made me feel so much better. And whenever I get the opportunity to do that, I feel immensely just better overall. So again, that's something that I'm really going to focus on prioritizing when it comes to this health and fitness journey and this health kick and wellness kick and all of the things. It's just very, very important to me. I'm not the one, and I've never really been the one that's like, I have to get 10,000 steps a day and I like need to do everything that's like super, be very like militant style about it. That's not me. As long as I get into the gym, that is a win. As long as I can focus at least 30 minutes on myself, my health, fitness, that's a win for me. So that's been something that I have had to remind myself, because I think growing up in a family that was so heavily focused around health and fitness, I definitely had to remind myself that like to celebrate the small victories too. Like my brother, for example, he works out, is like a workout fanatic. Like he's in the gym like for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. And I'm just not like that. And that's okay. But just dedicating 30 minutes to myself, if that's all I can do, if that's all I have the energy to do, that's okay. We're working towards goals. Small victories are still victories, and getting into the gym is a win no matter what. Now, the last two things that I kind of want to touch on do fall back in the nutrition category, but I realized that I didn't mention this before. When it comes to like my dinners, I like to plan them so where, basically what I'm trying to say is I love pasta and I love carbs, and being on this health and wellness journey, that doesn't always mesh. Having this obsession with pasta isn't always the best. I wish that I was obsessed with like broccoli or like salads or something. I'm not a salad girly. Like I'm just not. So having to find ways to make dinners and stuff healthier has been something that has kind of been a challenge, but luckily Hayden is honestly one of the best cooks I've, ever, or he's way better than I am. So I'm really lucky to have someone who likes to cook, enjoys to cook. So what we like to do for our dinners and stuff is every night we'll do like a protein and then some sort of vegetable. So whether that's salmon, we're really big on salmon. We have salmon probably like twice a week. We get it from Trader Joe's. It's amazing. And then we'll do chicken twice a week, some sort of chicken, and then some sort of like ground turkey thing 2 more times a week. So that gives you 2, 4, 6. Yeah, that's like 6 different meals that comes out of that. And having that has been a really good structure, because it takes away the planning of like, oh, what am I going to have tonight? It's like, oh, we're going to either do salmon with broccoli, or we're going to do chicken and Brussels sprouts or something like that. Like that's kind of how we've been preparing our dinners and our meals. And it just makes things easier because we're not thinking about it too much. And if there's ever a time, like I said, I love pasta, but if there's ever a time where I'm at home and I'm like, you know what, I really want pasta, modify it. This is what we love. We are doing modifications, and I'll do like a protein pasta. So Banza pasta has been something that I've been loving lately because it gives you that protein and it's still pasta. You put a sauce on it, it pretty much still tastes the same. I did the whole gluten-free, dairy-free thing for a while. I think I talked to you guys about that. I was on that, I think in like October or something. And while that was nice, that was not sustainable for me long term. Again, it was like I was doing gluten-free, dairy-free, and no alcohol. that was hell. I'm not going to lie. That was not great. I did not enjoy that. So again, just finding modifications where I can. If something is gluten-free, I'll do that. Like the bands of pasta, gluten-free and it has protein, we'll do that if I want like some sort of carb. Or, rice is a great gluten-free option as well. But I really do try to refrain from those as much as possible when I'm home. Again, if I'm out at dinner and I see like a pasta dish on the menu, or if I see something that's going to be more carb loaded, I'm going to allow myself to have that. Like, again, what is life if I can't have pasta when I want pasta? It's not a life that is going to make me very happy in the long run. And again, we're looking at the long term here. If I wanted to do some fad cleanse diet thing where it was like gluten-free, dairy-free, whatever, that's essentially what I did. And even though it was working, it was doing all the things that it needed to do. I was going to some like doctor and he told me to do that. It was doing all the things that it needed to do. It was not sustainable for me long term. I'm just not the type that's going to do that. I know many people out there probably would, and they'd be like, my doctor told me to do this and I'm just going to stick to it. I couldn't do it. Call me weak. I don't care. I like pasta. I like pizza. I am into it. And so finding ways to modify my meals at home has been really, really important to me, because when I'm at home, that is where I have the most control over what I'm putting into my body. I control, what I have for dinner, how much water I'm drinking, what alcohol I'm drinking, or if I'm drinking at all. Like, I have those options. So that's when I try and be the most strict and restrictive. Again, I'm not, taking anything away, or if I'm hungry, I eat. I am doing all of those things. But when I'm at home, that is where I like to be the most kind of strict when it comes to my guidelines for myself. And then when it comes to going out or eating at a restaurant or something, that is where I allow myself to indulge a little bit more, because like I said, what's life if you can't do that? Now, with that all being said, the last thing that I want to talk about, and honestly, the most important thing in all of this, is giving yourself grace through a process like this, because I think it's very easy to, have this mindset of I need to do this and I need to follow this to a T, and I cannot stray from these guidelines or from these restrictions for myself or from my goals. And if I slip up once, then I'm not going to allow myself to do that, and that's going to be a disaster and whatever. I think it's so important to have grace for yourself in this time, because as important as it is to maintain your goals and work towards them, and then once you get there, to, again, have that maintaining of that lifestyle, that's why it's calling it a lifestyle. While that is so important, it is equally as important to be kind to yourself. Like I said, if I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. If I, want to have a snack, I'm going to have a snack. If I want pasta, I'm going to allow myself to have pasta. But again, it's finding ways to modify that. I'm not telling myself I can't have this one thing, because I talked to you guys about this during dry January. When I told myself I cannot drink alcohol, I've never felt like I needed alcohol more in my life. I never felt like I need to drink more in my life. And I don't know if that's a problem. I don't know. That can be a topic for a different episode. But with that mindset, that's how I felt. And so I know that carrying that over to this healthy lifestyle, I want to tell myself I can have these things. I can give myself what I want, but if there's a way to modify it for a healthier version, we're going to do that. Or if there's a way that we can make it healthier, that's what we're going to do. But if I go out, or if this is what I'm craving, if this is what my body wants, I'm not going to say no. I'm going to give myself those things, because I know that feeling of being so harsh on yourself and this is why I say this, because I know the feeling of being so harsh on yourself when you feel like you slipped up once, or you had, a cheat meal, or you had, some sort of, something that you think threw you off. It's okay. Be kind to yourself. It's just one, it's one thing. It's one thing. And it doesn't mean that you can't get back on track the next day. I know that there's been so many times where I've been so hard on myself when I have a dessert, or when I have, some sort of something that throws me off from my restrictions, and I've been really hard on myself. And that's when I realized, okay, I need to pull back for a second, because I it's not that deep. It's not that serious. Like, it is a healthy lifestyle choice, but it's a lifestyle that I'm planning to maintain. And if I want a dessert, I'm going to have one. If I want, something, I'm going to have it. Being kind to yourself is the most important thing. And reminding yourself that you're doing this for the betterment of yourself is the most important thing. And you should be kind to yourself for the simple fact that you are prioritizing your health. That should be like something where you're like, you know what? I'm already winning because I'm prioritizing, my health, my body, my mind, all of the things. So just be very, very kind to yourself as well, because I know that it can be a slippery slope and a dangerous cycle if you are too restrictive. So try and find the middle ground, and again, just be nice to yourself. I think that, I know it's like a silly thing to say, but again, I think that from someone who has been on the flip side of the extreme of this, and I know how, again, of a snowball effect this can be, it's really important to be aware of everything, like being aware of your progress, being aware of how you're feeling, being aware if you feel like maybe I'm being, too invested into this, or maybe I'm hyperfixating on this too much. Like, it's okay. Like, it's okay to have a cheat meal or a cheat day. I like to do that on Sundays sometimes. I don't even think I said that, but that's something I like to do on Sundays or Fridays. It really just depends. Sundays or Fridays, I like to have my cheat day or cheat meal. And I think that that's important because I think that life's all about balance. And if you don't have balance, then I know personally for me, like I said, if I can't have wine or pasta or chocolate or all of the things, like I'm not going to be happy, and I want to be happy. And part of this is about making myself happy. And yes, I have goals, and yes, I'm planning on accomplishing them, but I also want to enjoy life and indulge and experience and go out to dinners and have fun and not have to worry about that. So give yourself that grace as well. So I just wanted to say that. But with that being said, you guys, that is all for me today. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Again, if you're new here, hi, my name is Savannah, and I'm your host of My Thoughts Exactly. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. I'll be back next week with a brand new one for you guys. And until then, stay safe. Bye, guys.